think it's fair to say that if you haven't had somebody misquote you at some point or other, you probably haven't said very much. That having been said, I think that there are a lot of people for whom that's a much bigger problem than it might be for somebody like myself. And that's why today I wanted to talk on the subject of false attribution on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 1st of July of 2021. And welcome to everybody who's here on Rumble and the podcast on YouTube, wherever you happen to be coming from. And again, the subject for today is false attribution, and I'm going to take a minute to go through my notes really quickly here. It's become a very common thing in the national press and other media, and for that matter, social media. Say this person said that thing only to have it shown in the course of time the individual said no such thing, or said something completely different that was taken to mean that. It's very common these days to have this occur, and those making the accusations be unwilling to acknowledge their error. You can try to argue that the people making the initial statement of fact are not attempting to hang an albatross around the neck of the people against whom they level it. Even if you're correct, their apparent unwillingness to correct their report makes it clear they're not people of character. What do we do about this? First, never assume someone is being honest or reasonable when they insinuate someone said something or did something even that seems totally out of character for the person in question. Second, find out for yourself what that person did or said, if anything, did say or do, if anything at all. Finally, don't ignore context. I'm not going to assume Joe Biden or Kamala Harris said anything I'm not going to say to assume Joe Biden or Kamala Harris said anything I want to not only hear and see it, but I want it in context. Likewise, you need to do your due diligence. Refuse to accept the word of anyone not willing and able to, quote, produce the receipts, as Dan Bongino would say. All right, I'm done with my notes, and I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I want you to know that I'm on a little bit of a new setup today, so you're going to see things probably a little bit differently, and I'm going to do things slightly differently. You may not notice the difference at all, but just in case, keep in mind that's why things are a tiny bit different today. Here's the thing. Kurt goes back to here's the thing. Whether you like it or not, it has been commonly done to people, and particularly to folks on the right, that they are misquoted, things are attributed to them that they did not say. It's said that they did this thing or that thing that didn't happen. This happens a lot on the right. I'm not saying it never happens on the left. It does. It happens on the left too. People are misattributed with having said various things that they never said. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you, you should assume that that's not the case. What I am saying to you, though, is almost everything is recorded these days. And you can go looking for places where people say things. And first of all, if somebody wants to go out there and make a statement like, well, so-and-so said thus and such, that person should be backing that up by having video, audio, or whatever where they can show that that's the case. And if they can't, quite frankly, they ought to shut their yap. And I'm not just talking about situations where video or audio wasn't recorded either, or where the person didn't put it down in print or whatever. I'm talking also about instances where it's out there and they're not willing to take the time and the effort to make sure that the person about whom they're talking actually said that thing. And, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are when you do that. If you talk about another person, whether in a disparaging way or a good way, and you say that person said or did something, put it down in writing, whatever it happened to have been, did a video or whatever, that's fine and everything. But what you need to understand is simple. If you can't show me that that's the case, or point me to where I can find out for myself, which is the better way to do things, And further, if you don't put it in context, you need to understand that I'm not only not going to listen to you this time in all likelihood, or I'm going to take what you say with a pretty heavy grain of salt. But in fact, it's going to damage your reputation, not theirs, in my eyes. Because I know the game that's being played by a lot of people. Quite aware what that game is. The game is that you decide that you're going to smear or somehow besmirch the reputation of another individual, and I'm not having it. And I tell you right now, if you're watching people, I don't care who they are, I don't care if it is Bongino, I don't care if it's Rachel Maddow or Ben Shapiro or anybody really. I don't care if it's Clarence Thomas. If that person says something about somebody else, if Thomas Sowell says something that somebody else supposedly said or whatever, and it's not true, you need to call it out. And by the way, you need to consider stopping paying attention to that person, particularly if they make a habit of doing that thing. It's not okay. It's not okay for people to do that. We need to start to realize that there are people out there who want to affect the outcome of various things that are going on, and that those people will quote people out of context, say things that those people never said and attribute it to those people, say that a person did something that they never did or whatever. And if that person can't say, and here it is, this is it, and by the way, here it is in context, here it is. If they can't do that, why are you listening to them? And here's the problem. When somebody does something like that, okay, you can pretty much be assured that the person in question is intending bad results. And unfortunately, you can assume that a lot of the people who are going to pay attention to what they had to say, whether they're bothering to check it out or not, will attribute things to other individuals that are not real, reasonable, appropriate, or proper. You can know this, okay? This is going to happen. And worst of all, so I was in a conversation recently with a younger individual, and he basically was saying that he can't defend police anymore because of all of the terrible things that are going on. And I keep pointing out that if you look at the things that are actually going on with the police, you will see that what they're being accused of largely is just not true. It's just not true. And in the few instances where it is true, hey, guess what? Those individuals are a very limited number of the population, and oftentimes what actually happened is misreported, even when something did happen, right? So you've got this individual saying, I can't defend these people, and I'm saying, really, why not? And they're saying, well, because there are all of these things that are going on that I can't, makes it harder and harder to defend those folks. And my answer to that is, I'm not asking you to defend the bad actors. I'm asking you to defend the people who did right. And the point is, what's actually driving this person, it appears to me, is the emotion that people attach to the bad events that occur, or to the events that are couched as bad, which is even worse. And that does happen. There are lots of times there are events that are couched as bad, and the person didn't really do anything at all, didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything that they can count them responsible for. You need to make sure that just because somebody says something, you're not taking their word for it, rather than going and checking for yourself, unless they're actually giving you in context what that person said or did. That's just really how that needs to happen. So this is kind of my take for the day. Take the time to find out for yourself whether what somebody's saying about somebody else is reasonable, and if it's not, don't believe it. Don't spread it. Take the time to wait and see what's actually out there before you go splashing things around the world. All right, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to try and get myself wrapped up here. Again, I'm using a little bit of a new format, so you're going to hopefully be able to see me a little bit better and so forth, hear me a little better. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see how it works in the course of time. But I want to say again that this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 1st of July of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Friday, the 2nd of July, 2021. Obviously, the 4th will be on Sunday, so Independence Day will be on Sunday. I will probably put out a video then and pretty much every day. Welcome to everybody who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming along. Remember that you can give me a positive or negative Rumble on Rumble, a like or dislike, thumbs up, thumbs down on YouTube if you want to do that. Remember also that you can comment on those platforms. By all means, let me know if you find anything that I say that you have problems with or that you agree with or whatever, whatever that happens to be. Feedback is always a good thing, so I know whether I'm producing stuff that's worth anything for you. Today's subject, as I say, has been false attribution, and tomorrow we're going to talk on the subject of astrology. And I really want to get into this particularly where Christians are concerned, but frankly it's something that I want to talk about as a general thing anyway. I kind of want to explain my view on astrology and why I don't tend to weight people very highly who use astrology as a method to tell you who they are, who you are, what's going on, and so forth. All right, I hope things are going well for you today. Hopefully we will see you again on tomorrow's edition of the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Thursday, the 1st of July of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.